Hi everyone, I hope you all are safe and quarantined in this lockdown. I am here to give a small talk on the topic of farm to fork linkages of perishable agriculture commodities, which are fruits and vegetables. So I'll be bifurcating my whole talk into two subsections. First being consisting of like my past experiences and the expertise which I have gained while working in Dehaat in this specific sector. And the second will be scope and opportunities in and around agriculture output and this specific sector. Coming to Dehaat model. So, like when we analyze the whole Indian scenario of agriculture, we can find in that there is the whole market size comprises of $400 billion, in which there are various financial institutions, agriculture input production companies, various bulk buyers. But these all people, which are actually very like the specific blocks in the whole value chain of agriculture, actually strive very much and very hard to actually maintain transparency in their transactions, their reach to the end user, that is farmer of course, and also simultaneously giving out something to society as a value chain. So like since like it's a normal data which you can see, like the whole internet market or the internet reach, the data reach has been increased by 40 to 50% from past 3 to 4 years. So utilizing this as a medium and the before stated as a problem point, Dehaat has come up with a solution by its unique hub and spoke model of Dehaat centers and Dehaat node for this whole farming community, wherein you can say like this Dehaat center is actually the connection point or a gateway for all the agriculture services which an agriculture farm which a farmer needs at their doorstep. So that Dehaat center is basically located into the remote village areas, whereas one Dehaat center connects to 1000 to 1500 farmers, aggregating their demand, supplying their agriculture input, giving their timely advisory services, giving providing financial aids, which includes crop insurance, which includes working capital requirement. So covering these all aspects on the last mile delivery of all the agriculture services to their end users. So what I mentioned about Dehaat center, these Dehaat centers can be 10 to 15 in a district depending on the agriculture production capacity, agricultural land capacity, and these Dehaat centers are being linked with Dehaat node, which is the last mile inventory location, our last mile inventory location. So this Dehaat node actually delivers, source and advises. So these 3 points is being connected to Dehaat center by these Dehaat nodes. So the whole process flow which you can see is as follows: like whenever farmer has any query or has any requirement, he directly calls up to our IVR or directly registers himself on Dehaat Farmers app. So through that query which is generated, it is being tagged directly to the specific Dehaat center. Accordingly, Dehaat node teams follows up with the query, whether it is like he wants to sell its produce, he wants some specific customized crop advisory, or he wants some financial aid, financial services, or he wants any agriculture input delivery at its doorstep. So accordingly, the queries are being classified, and in coordination with the Dehaat center, the specific query is being solved. Current until date, we are functioning with more than 2,15,000 farmers to the part of agriculture output. So it comprises of two different categories. One is perishable, that's fruits and vegetable. Another one is non-perishable, that's dry commodity. The fruits and vegetable basket of Dehaat constitutes of first top everybody is quite well aware about the demand and like the huge production of top, that's tomato, onion and potato. Second comes various, like we have 56 SKUs and different types of farmers attached to those SKUs who actually delivers us those, and we actually like apna purchase, source and accordingly sell those. And in a dry commodity we are majorly working of corn, and then we have various other SKUs, that's wheat, that's paddy, makhana, foxnuts and different other dry commodities which we also source simultaneously. Working in the supply chain for perishable, specifically from past 2 to 2.5 years, after goods are traded in mandi, the goods eventually reach to retailers or distributor for further supplies. The retailer obviously gives to the end consumer, distributor again forwards it to different retailers, and then eventually it gets into consumer hands. So eventually you can see like there are 4 to 5 stages of 4 to 5 multiple handlings of the agriculture commodity till the time it reaches to consumer, from the time it has been plucked from the farm gate. So obviously it reduces the freshness. It increases the price, it adds to more agriculture losses. As already mentioned, when you see like there are multiple handlings at various stages of the agriculture produce. So there is an opportunity actually wherein people can actually look into, and there are certain companies, be it Ninja Cart, be it Udaan, be it like a startup like us, wherein we are trying to minimize the gap between customer and farmer. We are trying to build up our own unique supply chain wherein we directly source from farmers and we deliver it to end consumer. So before discussing about scope, let's focus on our strengths. As India, we are producer of more than 10 SKUs. We are leading producer of more than 10 SKUs at a global level. For example, lychee, makhana, for example, banana and other various other crops which actually are in demand globally as well as very high in Indian scenario. Again, 12.4% of the GDP is contributed by 58% of the India's population, who are actually engrossed in this whole value chain, who are actually working in this whole value chain. So ultimately our strength is our people, our strength is our resources, but yes, we do lack on some part. We do and where the opportunity arises by building a strong, better supply chain mechanism from linking the produce from farmer to the table of the consumer. There is always a scope for improvement. There is always a scope for how you can pass the various stages and actually reach the end consumer with your produce. Simultaneously, keeping in mind the quality of the produce and keeping in mind to reduce the wastage during the whole supply chain transportation. This whole perishable business is an high risk and low margin business. It's high risk because it has very less shelf life. No agri produce is more acceptable to be consumed after 7 to 8 days of the harvest than it was on the first day of the harvest. Everyone like to eat their veggies fresh. Everyone like to eat their fruits ripened and presentable. So it's very necessary to keep in mind these factors, these constraints while this whole shipment, this whole commodity is being transported from the place of supply to the place in demand. Here come the roles of various food techno managers, wherein they should look for the effective ways to preserve this whole fresh fruits and vegetables at a very nominal cost. For example, there are new intervention, new innovation of linear bags. Linear bags, what they do, they are actually breathable bags in which these fruits and vegetables are being kept and transported in a refrigerated container, so that these shelf lives are extended from 2 to 3 days to 10 to 15 days, and after 10 to 15 days of opening of those linear bags, you can always find the produce as fresh as it was plucked from the farm gate. But here also there is a major constraint. These bags can only hold the freshness if the produce is being pre-cooled at the farm level itself. And now, since the farmers are very marginal and they earn very less, and they are very like small and micro farmers are large in numbers than those of big landholders, these problem constraint do not like linear bags while transportation while upon transporting into different places.